Hello, I want to welcome you all to our virtual coffee and conversation here on The Power of Our Story. My name is Sarah Carell. I'm the founder of The Power of Our Story. I'll be facilitating the conversation today with Teresa Shick. And just about The Power of Our Story, we are a community where veterans, first responders, and protectors can connect. They share their experiences and heal together. So today I am thrilled to have Teresa Shick. She is a veteran SOF military spouse whose passion is connecting people and services. She's the founder and executive director of the Pillar Foundation. And Teresa will share today her experiences supporting Naval Special Warfare families, building lasting community connections, and helping spouses thrive beyond military life. So, whether you're a military spouse, veteran family member, caregiver, or supporter, this conversation will offer encouragement, connection, and valuable insight. So, Teresa, I'm so thrilled to have you here. We need this conversation. This is so important. So, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. It's nice to see people I know on this too. So that's nice. Not everyone's a stranger, though I've never met a stranger, so this is all fine. But my name is Teresa. I am from Tyler, Texas. I am here now in Tyler, Texas, not in California anymore. Grew up here, lots of brothers and sisters. And in high school, junior year, my dad's company took us up to Kenosha, Wisconsin. I didn't know where Wisconsin was. I didn't know how to spell Wisconsin. I was like, I had no idea what was going on. And we moved up there, and the first thing my two new best friends said to me were, "Don't date anyone in the Navy." And I thought, well, I'm in Wisconsin. Like, okay, I'm not going to date anybody in the Navy. Also, I had like a long-term boyfriend here in Texas, and I thought, no, I'm not going to date anybody in the Navy. 6 months later, tall, dark, handsome shows up, and he's in the Navy. I just hadn't, and you hear it a lot. You do banter, you don't get along. He tells me he's going to become a Navy SEAL. I was like, great, don't know what that is. I think the movie had come out, what, in the 80s or something. Whatever. Fell in love with tall, dark, and handsome. Actually called my then boyfriend the day I met my husband Jerry and broke up with him because I was like, this feels different. And this is not what I've been doing in high school. But that was in 93. So we got married in 98. He in between then he went to BUDS. So he went to basic underwater demolition SEAL training in Coronado. And then he went on his first deployment, and now we're like at 98. And then I moved out there to San Diego. And so that's why I'm familiar with all the California stuff. But that was pre-war. So 98, 99, 2000, 01, he says to me, I want to go to Virginia Beach. I want to try out for Dev Group. And he was at Team One before that. So I said, cool. Like, what's that mean? And he says, it means moving to Virginia if I make it. And then I have to go through a really hard, rigorous training session or tryout or, whatever you want to call it. And if I make it, we stay. He goes, but it's all good because this is an anti-terrorist team. So there's nothing happening. Like, it'll be a break. That was March of 01. So then September 11th happened when he was at Green Team, and then he just left in January of 02. I mean, just went straight to Afghanistan. And then I go, and then he came home in 2017, and there's so much more in between that, obviously. And if anybody has any questions, I would welcome them. You can interrupt me. It's fine. I'd rather have more of a conversation than me just talking. But that was in 01. And so we went through, Jerry might even know the answer to this because I don't know how many casualties through that time. And it was just one after another, after another,
Mhm.
after another. Some he was involved in and some he wasn't. And some was his team and some weren't, but it's still our community. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
West Coast or East Coast. But all that deployment time, I kind of don't remember. It's like my brain is protecting me, I think, from what we went through. We have 4 kids. I mean, so we went through everything that you do when you're young married. It's just it was during war. So instead of, oh, let's go take, a trip, he's in the Navy, he can't do it anyways, but it was just we couldn't leave. He couldn't go more than 30 minutes outside the base. So like everything where we lived was dictated, what everything. And that's normal military, but it was so strenuous and stressful that I did not know how stressful and strenuous it was until we got out. And then I was like, wow, I haven't been breathing for, it was 24 years. And the kids, I mean, there's things I don't remember about that time. But what I did do, and someone else was mentioning volunteer work earlier, I volunteered as ombudsman. So for the non-Navy people, that's like an FRG or a senior spouse or a key spouse. So if the baby comes early, but so when, Johnny's gone, I can contact the command and be like, time for Johnny to come home. The baby's here. Or someone's sick or there's been a car accident or not normally good stuff, unfortunately, just from the op tempo that we had in the command that we were with. But it was a lot of casualties. It was the Keiko would go, knock on the door, notify the primary, and then call me. And then we would just plan a funeral. But the funerals were already planned because that's how we lived. We knew pallbearers. I knew what songs. I knew like who I wanted to notify me. We all had our funeral dresses and we lived like that for decades and not understanding that like that's just so not normal. Um, and a lot of secondary PTSD out of that, just hypervigilance like for my husband and hypervigilance for other people's husbands. It's a strange world that we didn't even know wasn't normal. And I still think I'm like, I'm so average team guy wife stuff. Like I'm normal and Jerry can attest. Like it is this, we're all the same. But then when we go to civilian world, I'm like, oh, I'm so not the same. Like the Navy's the 1%, right? And then my husband was in the 1% of the 1%. So it is not normal. And it's interesting to see like civilian marriages and how they've navigated their life. And I was like, well, I wouldn't get to do any of that. I just thought you were going to die like every day. So that stress level was crazy. And then when we retired in 2017, we came back to Texas, got my kids in school, had already bought a house, golden transition on paper, golden. But then all the things that we all can attest to started happening to him, loss of identity, loss of purpose. What am I even doing here? What kind of job am I supposed to have? Oh, hi, dad's home. Let's learn how to co-parent again. Not be a uniform, not a uniform, a robot marriage is what we always called it. So we were just like doing it and not had any time to really be a cohesive family unit because he just would come home and it'd be a good disruption and then he'd go away and it'd be another disruption. So we had to learn how to do all that. I had to learn how to like let him fix things, and like not call the plumber and give him a chance to do head of household duties that he never got to do. But all that happened to him happened to me. I had loss of identity. I did not have a sense of purpose. I could not figure out if can I say I'm military spouse anymore? Um, do I need to go get a job now? Because military spouses, it's hard to keep down, the one job if you move. We didn't move a ton, but I needed to be the one at home, like the consistent parent. So all these things are coming up and I'm just flailing. And then he's flailing and the kids are, I'm like, okay, stop, brakes. This sucks for who else? And I was just asking all my friends, and they all one by one were like, yeah, this is really bad. There's no handbook on transition for spouses. No one tells you. It's like when you give birth, there's all this bad stuff, and all the other moms go, yeah, well, yeah, that happens. We forgot to tell you. It was like a secret that how bad this is going to be. I think it's just maybe because it's too scary, and then the divorce rate it's so high after transition. I mean, I always say about 10 friends, there's like two that are still married and only one happily. So that's when I started like, let's problem solve here. Like, how can I fix this? And that's when the Pillar Foundation was born out of necessity. I thought if I'm struggling and I'm pretty outspoken, I can probably find everyone else, that's struggling too. And then we just started brainstorming and figuring out like, what did you need? I'd ask the seasoned spouses, the senior spouses, when you guys retired, what do you need? What could have helped you? And then we built our programs off of like, oh, I wish was able to go back to school. Oh, I wish I could get my hormones tested. I wish I could go on retreats and find out where the rest of the spouses live. Like I need a connection. They're very big about the brotherhood, which is great. But there's a sisterhood that got yanked out from underneath me. And and then I'm like in civilian land, and we always say civilians are weird, right? It's us. We're the weird ones, as it turns out. They're just the normal, they live normal. So that's where Pillar Foundation came from, just complete necessity. Um, I've got to help, and it was Naval Special Warfare in the beginning, as you said, but now it's all soft, any soft spouse. And I really don't limit it to that so much too, because there can be a woman whose husband was intel like the whole time at NSW. And so they've still lived that tempo and that lifestyle. So I'm really, it's not just soft, but you need to have been in the soft, world or spectrum or something, to understand what we went through, really, and to have the camaraderie. So we have retreats, which are my favorite. I'll go to San Diego, Virginia, Nashville, Utah, you name it, and I get a little pod of the soft spouses together when they're in that transition space. So like 2 years before, a couple years after, I want to get you. So like Sarah, if you said we're retiring, we're moving to Nebraska, I'd be like, then let's get you on a retreat close to Nebraska so you can meet your new community. And then when you guys get there, you already have like a soft handoff of friends who did this life, who you can talk to with and who understands and doesn't just think we're weird and say, how'd you do it? We don't know. We don't know how we did it. We just big girl pantied it, for 2 decades. So it's nice to like have that when you land. And then during those retreats, we talk about PTSD, TBI, your husband's brain. What does that look at? I mean, what does that look like? How do you co-parent? And then we'll talk about you. We'll give a strength finder test to the spouses and say, these are your top 5 strengths. Like, let's lean into that and give you a coach to help you figure that out. Or you want to start a business, we'll get you a branding and marketing guru. Her company's called Victor Valor, and she does it. That's how William and I met. She does all the branding and marketing for military if you want to have your own business. It's fantastic. But not having that resource if you don't even know. So I'm doing a lot of resource connection at the retreats. And then it's 10 women in a room. Imagine how that looks. A lot of crying, a lot of problem solving on our own. And just a lot of people going, me too. Oh, your husband does that? So does mine. Oh, do you feel that way? So do I. And your kids reacting to your, the service member and the kids is a whole nother thing. It's just nice to know that we're all out there struggling the same way, but we don't have to be, because like we should be helping each other and empowering the spouses to learn who they are, learn what their strengths are, maybe go back to school or maybe not, but just get them set so that they can help the service member. And when I say service member, it's typically a man. I mean, I help women, just because that's what we have. But it's nice to get her prepared before. So like I always said, like when the shit show comes home, you're not also a mess. You're good, and you can keep your family together, keep your family unit together, keep the divorce rate, like let's get that lower the suicide rate. It's all, and it's generational. Like if I can keep your marriage together, not me, but all the resources I give you, keep your marriage together, then these kids aren't product of divorce, and then that's such a generational shift that I love to see that with the kids, like to see the daddy come home and he's healing and open it up, the conversation to in the family, like it's okay to be hurting. We did something really hard. Like it's time to talk about it.
Oh, Teresa, that's really, really cool that you're doing this. I think, that everything like the power of our story, Daniel on the call here always calls it the power of connection. And
Mhm.
I really feel like that for every arena. I love what you're doing because you're giving like at the very basic, you're giving all these spouses a place to connect and to be able to really just be witnessed in the hardship that only you guys know.
Mhm.
I mean, I was going to be that civilian that says, I have 4 kids too. How did you do that? And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But
Yeah.
that's
Well, a village. I did it with everybody. I mean, our block was military. So it was like, whose husband's home this weekend? Okay, you're it. You're the home. We got to come fix the plumbing and mow the lawn. And well, military spouses fall in love really fast with each other. Like, you're my new emergency contact. I know you just moved in, and also you're coming over for Christmas, and I will watch your baby. And we met like a week ago, and that's just how it has to be. And I actually thought civilian friendships were like that, and I'm learning they're not. I mean, I'm jumping into relationships with friends so fast, and they're like, whoa, whoa, I've lived here for 50 years. I have my friends. So it's lonesome too. And I can't see Jerry anymore. I'm hoping that she's nodding her head somewhere. But there's too many people on the call, which is great. But Jerry, chime in anytime, because she lived this life too. It's
Oh
just
yeah, Teresa, everything you're
yeah.
saying, I'm just like, oh my God.
I know. And William too, he does, I mean, he's therapy as well. And he talked a
Yeah.
little bit about the dreaded knock on the door, and that's how we just
Well, I
we
mean,
knock.
with this, I mean, my husband had just taken over Command Master Chief in at SDV Team One. 2 weeks later, we lost the guys in Operation Red Wings. We
Uh-huh.
lost five of the Mark Luttrell, Murphy,
Uh-huh.
all of them that were from our command, and it was so chaotic at that time with Healy had five ex-wives. We couldn't find one of them. And he was the reason why it took forever to be able to release the names
Yeah,
to the press.
to the press.
And it was so chaotic at that time. We didn't even know if the president was going to show up to Punch Bowl for the memorial service. So everything was nuts. I was all ombudsman, but I was also part of the command support team.
Okay.
And
Oh.
so, yeah, it got down to where when we finally found the ex-wife, me and the ombudsman got like crash course in Keiko duties
Mm-hmm.
to go to the house because everything was nuts at that time. And
They run out of Keikos, though. I mean, when extortion happened, everyone was a Keiko.
yeah, oh
And
yeah, it
and then
was.
K so Keiko, everyone knows what Keiko is. But if you're a listener, it's casualty assistant call officer. It's the one who comes to your door with the chaplain and with the command head shed and does the dreaded knock on the door. It's a
Mhm,
hard job. And you're that person's your surviving spouse Keiko forever. Like you have your Keiko forever, which is great.
yeah,
But tough job.
yeah. No, but
Wow.
everything you're saying, it was, time away. When Mike was getting ready to get out at so my brother-in-law was a team guy too, and my husband and John went to Buds together.
Oh,
And
cool.
so Mom wasn't too happy when we introduced John to Deb. But anyway, doing the math though, even in 30 years, I mean, he did a 5-year back-to-back unaccompanied tours to Bahrain and Djibouti. So we had that 5-year separation as well. But we've been married for 32 years now. I met him when he was in at 10 years. He's an old guy. So
Mhm. The old frog, we like to call them the old
yes,
frogs. Yeah.
crusty old Master Chief. But anyway, within that time frame, the math of being together within his 30-year career was 12 years.
Yeah. 10. We did the math too. 10 years, 24 in. I met him at a boot camp. He has regular deployments before 9/11, and then yeah. So
Hmm.
that's the story with us. Like,
Yeah.
and so then these men come home and we're supposed to be like, oh, right.
How do you fit him into your
It's a
routine?
disruption. It's
Yeah.
and it shouldn't and it's going to be a disruption and it might not be always bad, but it's hard on top
Hmm.
of hard. And then so many marriages just quit. And I might tell my spouses, I'm like, you owe it to yourself to give your marriage like 5 or 6 years. It takes that long. I always
To get
think
used
I
to.
got out of fight or flight like 6 years out. We're
Hmm.
9 years out now. I mean, I remember the day I was like, slow, this is not an emergency. Like I was so doing things so fast and like something bad's going to happen next. So I'd have to hurry up and fit it in the other shoe type thing. I had to like rewire my brain, I feel like.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
would we'd make the paper chains for the weeks, with the kids. We
Yeah.
tear one off on a Sunday, go out to dinner. Well, he's gone. But then what always sucked was the fact that they go away on the ship and then they're supposed to be coming home earlier before the ship. But then sorry, Air
Something else
Force,
happens.
but Air Force planes break down too often, or pilots have to have rest. So the ship comes home before they do, and
Mhm.
they're still gone another 8 weeks. So,
how are
Yeah, but
you
the breakdown always happens in like Rhoda, Spain, or
oh
Ireland,
my gosh,
Germany?
exactly.
or
Rhoda was
Hawaii.
the one, yeah, or
Yep.
Ramstein, or yeah.
And William treats spouses too, and we met in Austin and had a really good conversation about like William, what did you say about soft spouses? Do you remember?
I said a lot of things. We talked for like 3 days, but
Yeah.
but what one of the things that I talk about with when I treat soft spouses, and it comes out of my own experience because I didn't know until after I retired. And for everybody's reference, I'm the other side of Teresa's equation, just not married to Teresa, married to somebody completely different. So I was a SOF operator for 18 and a half of my 21 years on active duty. I lived and breathed what we refer to it as the spin cycle. Um, and I didn't know until after I retired that my wife has a phobia of my dress uniform because the entire time I was in the, and talk to civilian girls, they think like, oh, the man in the dress uniform, it's beautiful. No, my wife hates that thing because the only time I put it on was when I was going to a funeral. I was, or when there was some kind of like official function that I had to perform that specifically required it. And what Teresa and I talked about, and I'm gonna try not to kick this particular hornet nest while still explaining this to you. So fair warning, I tried. What I used to talk about is the other reason my wife is afraid of or doesn't like is a better way to put it now. My dress uniform is because from the time I went in, so I was in the army for 6 months before I was in Iraq on the surge, and that was before I passed selection and moved into SOF. Um, and my wife knew for all 21 of my years that there was one site that she needed to be legitimately worried about if there was ever a knock at the door. And it was going to be three individuals because the Army does it in a very specific format. They were all going to be in dress uniform and they were there to tell her the news that no spouse wants to get.
Mhm.
As a result of that, she hates seeing my dress uniform. She like when I retired, we stuck it in an opaque garment bag and stuck it in the absolute back of the closet and have not touched it since because she didn't like the thing. And if when my daughter grows up and gets married, if she wants dad to put the monkey suit back on, I will.
We're doing
But
that. He's
until
my
then,
husband's
yeah,
my daughter
My
gets married
husband
next
did
week and
it
my
too.
husband's putting the uniform on. I'm like, "Yay! I get to replace that horribleness with
Yeah.
something great."
yeah.
That yeah, that was just that's exactly what my husband did. He actually even officiated Annie's wedding.
Mm.
So
Mhm. Yeah,
it was
yeah. So
awesome.
that'll be the only time it gets broken back out. But what I talk about with soft spouses, particularly, is that there's a lot of stuff that you guys aren't allowed to say you're worried about. Like, because like my job as the operator was to go do my job and survive, come back with 10 fingers and 10 toes. If everybody else had 10 fingers and 10 toes, then like that's a friggin' trophy for me. Your job, on the other hand, was to make sure that nothing you said or did might interfere with that
Hmm.
for the duration of my service.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we unpack when a soft spouse comes to see me is we unpack like, hey, like you're in a safe environment here. I'm not going to even tell your husband what's been going through your head, but I want you to start letting all that crap out that you've had in your hip pocket for however many years he was doing what he was doing. And they don't like to do it at first. I wouldn't like to do it either if I was them. But once you get that first little crack, it's like watching a floodgate open. And we just sit there and I go, yeah, that really sucks. And I get to learn from it. I've learned a lot of the other things that my wife held in her pocket the whole time I was serving. You know, simple things like I had a satellite phone with me for a lot of my deployments, which meant that I made sure that my team could call home whenever they needed it. If we went 4 or 5 days because I was just busy doing stuff and she didn't hear from me, she tended to assume that something very, very bad had happened. And then when I finally called, I would always be a little confused as to why she seemed both relieved and really irritated with me at the same time. Which I know now she was entitled to. But that's what I do a lot with soft spouses when they come in, and I'll treat anybody's spouse if they're running into similar stuff, but what I've lived, what I've breathed, and the audience that I kind of focus on within the veteran and veteran adjacent communities, it just tends to bring me into contact with soft spouses. So hope that covered it, T.
It's so cool to hear like your opposite perspectives and I mean all three of you. It's really cool that you're on here. I am really curious for somebody if you were to bullet point a few clear narratives, what is um what would you want soon to be transitioning spouses to really hold on to? Like, what would be the best way to navigate those steps forward?
Well, just laying it on the table and saying it's going to be hard. Like,
Mhm.
just prepare. It's managing expectations. It's going to be hard for you for different reasons than for him, for little Johnny, different reasons than for little Susie. It's just going to be different. And fun fact, this transition typically comes when we're in our 40s. That's already a horrible day. Like 45 plus is so hard for women with the perimenopausal and all that. And you probably have a teenage daughter or teenage son. Like the hormone situation that's happening in that time frame is hard for anyone. And then throw in, your husband hates his new job or you hate where you ended up moving to. And there's this statistic, I don't know what it is, but most of the service members switch jobs within the first year just it's hard to find your purpose again. But that's just knowing that it's going to be really tough and acknowledging it with your entire family. Um, I also tell the women to sit down with their older kids and explain daddy's brain. Like this is what's happened because they're not okay anymore. And there's a lot that just needs to be said. Daddy can't remember things or he might be short fused, just explain like his emotions, even though he might not understand what it is going on or why does daddy need a nap all the time, or whatever is going on. So there is stuff going on with their brains or their bodies. It's all like communication and just putting it on the table. Just expect that this is going to be really tough, but you can do it. I really like to help the spouse figure out what she needs to kind of keep her moving forward professionally or personally. It could be a life coach, it could be a therapist, it could be a new laptop because you're finally finishing school. It could be sending them to the Headstrong Project, which is the SOF community uses. It's a nonprofit that we get to go to therapy for free. And your children, which is so hard to get into child psychology, psychiatrist on time, get to go for free and marriage counseling for free. Like it's top notch and it's long overdue. It's called the Headstrong Project. And we also have something called Soft Network, where we can tap into providers who are in the soft community. And that way they don't have to like go through it all. I can't imagine sitting down with a therapist and like, okay, how much time do you have? Because you don't understand who my husband is. So it's nice to have like a William or a Jerry who just skips that part. Or so the fireman, there's a fireman on here. Same thing, like they know your lifestyle, they know what you did. But those are my top. Just be aware it's going to be tough, but it doesn't have to be the end. And ask. Like we don't ask for help. And when I say, "What can I do to help you?" and you always the spouse goes, "Oh, me? Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know what I need. I have no idea. I've been running the show for so long. Like besides you need a breath. Like you need a breath. You need a retreat. But you need to know that like you're still cared for. And even though you're not in the military anymore and the brotherhood might not be there as strong as it was, the sisterhood is damn sure going to be there for you.
And
So they
that
just need to ask.
I would think too, just again, being in some kind of group situation, that will bring everything up with
Hmm.
people, yeah, people willing, realizing, oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I feel that too. I do need help in that area. And like even what you said too is to really help people to understand this might take 5 or 6 years. Don't
Hmm.
think that it's going to take a week. I mean, just to even to have that
Yeah.
expectation managed too. These are huge what you just shared. I mean, that's
Well, I did it, right? So, and also like I keep
right.
saying, start dating your husband because he's coming home. and he's going to be across from you, and you're going to be like, so, read anything lately? Like, you have to start knowing him because that's what's so bad. They're like, the stranger came home, and then he's a little different, but also so is any 20-year marriage. He's not going to be the man you married. I'm not the person you married. We grew up. But a lot of times we grew up independently because we just didn't have the time. Like our marriages just didn't get the time it needed. So I think that's why the divorce rate is so high. And I'm not a mental health person, but I mean, it's got to be it. Like war just took it away from us. So it's a lot of work on the back end, but it's worth it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
just good for people to know. I'm so glad that you're sharing that. Because
Yes.
sometimes it seems like the most basic things are just gold. Like that is so important, those nuggets to hold on to,
Hmm.
because then you don't think you're the only one, right? You're the only one in this reality that you can't figure out something must be wrong and give up.
Right. That's
But that
exactly
is
right.
that is the common reality.
I always say 10 women, eight of them will say something, and the other two are like, that's not me. And then by like day four, they're like, okay, so yes, it's me too. Like we're all struggling the same way because soft community is so cookie cutter. I don't think anyone loves to hear that, but it's true. The guys are a special breed, and then William can attest, the soft spouses are a special breed. Um, Same with like any police officer. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not a police officer, but it's that same type of person. So it's very easy to hit everyone's needs in one retreat because I know them because they're my needs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not reinventing anything. I'm just bringing it out there.
Yeah.
And there's so many people who really love to help our community in so many different ways. We have an advisory panel for anything you can imagine. And if we don't have something you need, then I'll be like, well, let's find you somebody that's soft vetted that can help you in whatever it is you're looking to do. Um, so they're just not, it's just a trusted community. And it's nice to have this giant sisterhood together where anyone can say anything they need and
Yeah.
we'll, help each other out. I love my job. I'll tell you, it's been great. I mean, as being ombudsman, just kind of a natural connector anyway. So it's nice to have that. Here's my dog. Sorry. He's
And
chiming in.
the gift that you're giving is truly life-giving. I mean, it's life-saving. It's a door to save families, to
Hmm.
marriages. I mean, it's really huge. And I can imagine that it's nice to have everything that you have gone through be used for other people. Yeah, I love this. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the group now, and then we got Jim with a question. Um,
Thanks.
Rand was trying to raise his hand to say something.
okay,
Sorry, I
I'm
had to
gonna
give
put
my
it on
dog another
gallery
bone.
now. So I now I can see everybody. So I never mean to ignore anybody. So we are still recording on this Brady Bunch, but just tell me to mute. You can tell me to pause. Sometimes this is the best way to do it. Um, okay. Jim, what's on your mind?
Go ahead, Rand. I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm from a different world because I served in the 60s in the Vietnam War when we were using old gear and all that stuff. But you keep saying soft or SOV is
Soft.
spouse of something?
Special Operation Forces. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I
okay.
try
I
to
should have
explain
known that.
acronyms. I'm so used to it. Special Operation Forces.
Okay.
Spouses. Yeah.
I figured it had to be something on that. All right. I'm wondering about, so you've been through an awful lot. This has been very interesting for me. I never quite, I've been married 4 times, so obviously I had relationship problems. But anyway, what kind of resources or training did you get? I mean, you obviously you've got a skill set there that's unbelievable to be as helpful as you are to spouses and indirectly to their husbands.
Oh, I'm just a middle child. I just grew up having to solve everyone's problems and I mean really I'm such a classic middle child, but I've always done this. Like connection, problem solving, brainstorming, like I love it. As someone I love to find a lost iPhone and then like figure out whose it is. I mean, I just love that stuff. But this has just been as ombudsman, you do get the training for this. Problem solving, sense of urgency, keeping those resources in your brain, directing people where they need to go. You do get that training as ombudsman, and we get suicide prevention training and a little bit of Keiko stuff. So yeah, a little bit of training, but I just lived the life. And so I can relate really well, to what they're going through or what they're going to go through. And normalizing it, like I said before, has helped a ton. Just open up the conversation that this is hard has helped a lot. And now that mental health too is the topic is on the rise so much, that also helps. Like it's more okay for us to say this is really hard and I'm struggling and I need help. I mean, like you said, you're a different era. You probably would never have said that. Maybe you would have only been married once. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a good point with all that. Oh, go ahead, Rand.
Yeah, I just want it's amazing. I mean, you have done some awesome work there and helped a lot of people, I'm sure. I really relate to that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rand. Jim, what's on your mind?
So I think I heard a couple of you say that you also, beyond your counseling, work with first responders. And I would just offer up that some of the similar experiences occur with the spouses of first responders.
Mhm.
I met my wife, started dating my wife in 1985, and was in the fire service at that point. And so it was the only life she ever knew was, I was gone, 24 or 48 hours at a time, sometimes a couple of weeks at a time, whatever. Um, and at about the 30-year mark in our relationship, I became a fire chief. And all of a sudden I was home every night. And you laugh, but that was she had her routine and it impacted that, and it kind of changed a lot of dynamics and, that type of thing. And she also had her fears of, certain parts of my career. It's like I was on the truck company, which, meant I went on top of the building when it was on fire and, cut a hole in the roof and, things like that. Those were periods of time where she was most uneasy every time I went to work, those types of things. And a lot of that stuff was never discussed during the relationship. It didn't get discussed until I retired,
Mhm.
That type of thing. So I just think there's some very similar kind of things
I
with
think
the
so too.
spouses and the relationships and all that kind of stuff.
We went on a field trip to a firehouse, like with a kindergarten or something many years ago. And I asked the I don't know who I was talking to, fire chief or not, about spouses, because I was kind of still in the brainstorming phase of how to help. I said, so are your spouses, do you guys all get together? Are you guys like a little family? And he said, no. I'm like, oh, that's too bad, because the shared experience is like, that's the best person to be friends with, is her husband has the same job, that camaraderie. And he's like, no, we don't have that. I said, oh, well, maybe you should, have a little get together. But yeah, I think the first responders too are so on all the time. Like at least like they'd come home, they're like, okay, we're off for these 4 weeks. Not off, but y'all are so on. I mean, I can't imagine your fight or flight situation over there. Just
Mm.
so it's so like unorganized chaos, a fire, At least we had planned deployments. So I mean, and you're still married? Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
37 years.
Ah, congratulations.
Yeah. It's awesome. Jerry.
Well, first off, Jim, I do have to say I understand. I do have a client, a spouse of a first responder. So yeah, I can see how the difficulties come with that. But I also wanted to say, Teresa, thank you. I am so happy that I reached out on LinkedIn with this. I did already sign up for Pillar Foundation just to, yeah, I'm up here in Alaska. I
I
mean,
know
they do
one
want to
other
work.
spouse in Alaska, and they're moving. So the least I
Well,
could figure out.
if they're
Have a
going to
map.
Kodiak, Kodiak is where they do, it's an island up here in Alaska, and that's where
Yeah.
they do the winter warfare training.
Mhm.
My brother-in-law, and my sister have been there now. Carly's 22, 23. They've been there for 23 years. So my brother-in-law just retired from his second retirement. So,
Yeah.
but no, thank you. Other than my sister and I and some of the spouses there in Kodiak, we're few up here. But she's in Kodiak and I'm in Anchorage, and the only way you can get to Kodiak is either by ferry or plane. So, but knowing that this is out there, and then William, yeah, I'm gonna message you on LinkedIn as well too. Thank you. Um, being a provider, but also knowing that I need help too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jerry, thank you for that. That's so true. You know, the clinicians, the providers need support too. I'm so glad that you brought that up. That is so important.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead. We're gonna go to Scott, and then we can wrap it up with Paul. I want to be sensitive to your time, Teresa, but we'd like to hear what you want people to walk away with. It's really good to have this conversation. And then if everybody doesn't mind, just hang on for a second because I want to say something after I shut off the recording too. If you can, of course, if you have to go, you can go. But Scott, what was on your mind?
Hey, thank you, Sarah. I'll be brief here. Teresa, thank you so much for what you're doing. Uh, your husband's line of work and many others, I think you really nailed it. They are focused on what they're doing as operators, and they are so blessed that they have spouses like you that they don't have to worry about what's happening back at home because they know that you completely have it under control and it allows them to do what they have to do. I never worried about my wife and kids because of my wife. She's a lot like you. She could do whatever she needs to do. She grew up. Her dad was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He died in Vietnam. She was one of eight. The oldest was 16. The youngest was two. Her mom never got remarried. So she saw that service comes with a price, and she married me, which is a whole other thing. But my whole career we were together, and we're coming up on 40 years here in December that we'll have been married. And I could not have had the career I had without my wife. She's sitting right next to me here. She's texting my daughter. We're heading to go see her. But thank you again for what you're doing. This is absolutely refreshing to hear. I was aware of this, but again, it's just good to hear the back and forth. And the other gentleman that gave his opinion and his experience as an operator and for what he's doing as well. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And then Paul.
Yes, I spent 10 years as a police officer, as a sergeant. And one of the things that we found very helpful for spouses and children and in resident relations of any kind, if you were going to be late getting off your shift, if you just took a minute and called home and explained, you don't have to go into detail, but you just say, I'm going to be a few minutes late, or I'm going to be 30 minutes late, or whatever, that reduces the stress by an order of magnitude. And we made it a practice, and there were times when I had to remind some of the people that worked for me that they needed to do it because there was a fire or whatever. And unfortunately, fires are the kind of thing that you don't get to predict when they're going to end. And I mean, you can tell sometimes if it's just a small fire, but the point is that this is just simply a method of reducing the stress in the home. and gives a sense of safety to the
Hmm.
spouse and the children.
That's good too.
Thank you, Teresa, for all that you've shared with us today.
Thank you. I love your hat.
And
I feel like that's a great hat.
I'm sorry?
Your hat. I like your hat.
Oh, this hat was given to me as a joke
It's great.
4 years ago. And the guy who gave it to me was a very, very close friend and had been for a long time. And he passed away.
Oh.
It's one of the problems when you get to be, when you shift into antiquity,
Mm.
you have fewer and fewer close friends because you've been to their funerals.
Mm.
And, but in any event, I just want to share that, and it's not just for you, it's for everybody here. If they can get that message and take action based on it, it's so much better for everybody. So, anyway, thank you very much.
Paul, thank you for that. I can imagine that would make a huge difference.
Hmm.
A huge difference. Paul, thank you. That was gold. I appreciate it too. Well, Teresa, this has been so wonderful, and you've got a lot of people on this call. I think it is the conversation that is just right on time, that's needed. I just want to say too that I really love the nuggets that you prepare expectations with, that, it could take 5 or 6 years to get normalized after transition, or it's going to be hard.
Hmm.
Or, explaining to the kids about daddy's brain, that it's been through a lot. Going to Headstrong Project, to get whatever support counseling for kids or family, or the soft network. I mean, this is just really good and helpful. And you all too, everybody on the call, so generous in this conversation. Thank you so much. It adds so much to have the richness of everybody else's experience. And I appreciate the new people on the call too. It's really great to hear what you had to share too. So, Teresa, what do you want us to walk away with today?
Just keep the conversation going. Um, we have what, Military Spouse Appreciation Month. Like, that's all we have. So I think if you need to meet a first responder spouse or military spouse or kid, I mean, ask them. That a lot of times they just don't think to ask because they don't think I can talk about it. But like the acknowledgement, thank you for your service goes so long. I mean, goes so far when people say that. I'm like, thank you for saying that to me because it was a service, still doing it. Um, and just especially the kids, it's a hard go. And I think there just needs to be a little bit more acknowledgement. And that's really it. And so my website's pillarfoundation.com if anyone wants to go check that out. Um, Always welcome donations, always welcome any type of like with William and now Jerry and I will talk, but different advisors for our advisory panel, any experts on anything is always helpful. But you can refer anybody our way. It's a very simple process. They just go on the website and hit contact and it generates a phone call with me. But donations are always welcome. What we do works. We're just looking to go large scale, and so that kind of takes the donations. And so keep us in mind would be great.
Very good. And that will be on the description on the
Mhm.
YouTube recording. And I also really appreciate what you had to say just about thanking the spouses and the family for their sacrifice. Like, that is going to be something I'm going to be so aware of now.
Mm. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, I just want to thank all of you too, and all of you who are listening. Thank you so much for being with us and caring, to stay on and listen to the conversation.